Hey guys, it's Miss Delcambre. Today's Monday, November 16th, and here's a rundown of today. You'll need your journal, glue, pencil, highlighter, and your notes on 14.1. There's 2 sets of them. Okay, we're going to go over our week in review. So if you go to my Google Classroom slides, today we're going to be going over coordinate plane. Your homework is your Google Slides and Google Forms. Tomorrow, we're going over independent and dependent variable on tables and graphs, your worksheets, 14.2. Wednesday, writing equations from tables and graphs. We're going to have a worksheet on 14.3. Thursday, representing algebraic relationships in tables and graphs. We're not going to have homework for Thursday. And Friday, if you were in person, we're going to be doing a breakout in the library. And if you are online, we're going to try to do a digital breakout. All right, as you see, there is no builder for this week. You are welcome. That is your Thanksgiving gift to you from me. Okay, so that is our week in review. Let's go ahead and get to our notes. Minimize this. So here's our notes. Naming points on coordinate plane. Today is 11/16/2020. And we're talking about coordinate plane. And coordinate plane is formed by when 2 number lines intersect at 90-degree angles, or a right angle, which is actually 90 degrees. Kind of went ahead of myself. So 90-degree angle, and it forms perpendicular line, which is where they form a perpendicular line. The point of intersection is 0 on each side of the number line. So that would be 0, 0, which would be called our origin. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So do you see origin's right there? You have 2 number lines, one going horizontal, one going vertical. They point right there. Both zeros end up at the same place. That is what we call the origin. So the 2 number lines are called the axis. The axis. The horizontal axis is called the x-axis, and it's horizontal, meaning it goes from left to right. So we're going to draw an arrow from left to right there. And the vertical axis is called the y-axis. The vertical axis is called the y-axis, and it goes up and down. And as you see, they're labeled. There's the y-axis, and there's the x-axis. Normally, they'll have a little label there. Sometimes they don't, but sometimes they do. So you just might want to check that just to make sure. So you can remember x-axis goes horizontal, y goes vertical. Now, the point where they intersect is called the origin. It's called the origin, and the coordinates on that is 0, 0. Because it's at 0 on the x, and 0 on the y. Then the 2 axes are divided into coordinate planes that form 4 quadrants, okay? So just like if this was a map of the world, if you think of the x-axis like the equator and the y-axis at the prime meridian, it divides the world into 4 sections, okay? Into 4 sections. And our coordinate plane is also divided into 4 sections. You have quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. Quadrant 1, all numbers in quadrant 1 will be both positive and positive. The x will be positive, the y will be positive. Now when we move over here to quadrant 2, we're going to go left. So this x is negative, the y's are positive. Okay, so quadrant 2 will always have a negative x and a positive y. Come down here to quadrant 3. Well, we're going to the left, negative, and going down, we're looking at negative numbers. So both the x and the y would be negative. And then quadrant 4, we're going to go to the right, so it's positive, and go to the left, which is negative. So you'll be dealing with positive and negative. And how I remember what quadrant is what is that coordinate plane is like a big C. So if I start off at quadrant 1 and I draw a big C, we'll go to quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4 before I can remember which quadrant is what. If I draw a big C there. So an ordered pair, just like when you were graphing your South America continent in social studies, this is kind of like what we're doing today and what we're with ordered pairs. Now, the one difference when you were dealing with longitude and latitude locations, here with X and Y, you're going in a different directions. With longitude and latitude, you went up and then over. Here, with ordered pairs, you're going over, left and right first, and then up and down. Okay? It's just the way it goes. That's the one difference between the two. So an ordered pair is a pair, meaning two of number, is a pair of numbers that gives a location of a point on a coordinate plane. So it gives the location. That's key. The first number tells you how far right, positive, or how far left, negative, the point's going to be. So your first number, you're going either right or left. Remember, positives are to the right of 0, negatives are to the left of 0. All right, the second number tells you how far up or down you're going to go. So if your second number is a positive number, you're going to go up. If your second number is a negative number, you're going to go down. Just like if we turn the horizontal number line vertical, everything to the bottom of 0 is negative, everything above 0 is positive. So the numbers on an ordered pair are called coordinates. The first of the coordinates is your X coordinate, and the second is your Y. So always remember that. You have your X first and then Y. Just like in the alphabet, X comes before Y in the alphabet. X is first in the ordered pairs. Okay, so identify the coordinates of each point. Name the quadrant where each point is located at. So we have point A. So if I look at point A, it is at -1, -5. They're both negative, so this would be in quadrant 3. So this would be in quadrant 3. And I do my quadrants with Roman numerals. Okay, now let's look at B. So I went over to 2 and up to 3. So it would be 2, 3. Both of them are positive. They're in quadrant 1. They're in quadrant 1 there. Okay, let's flip the page. So graph and label each point on the coordinate plane. Well, it's already graphed for us, so let's take a look. So we're here at A, which is over to -5 and then up to 2. So we remember it's a negative and positive, so that is in quadrant 2. So I'm going to put a 2 right there. Now, B is at 3, over to 3, and do you see how it's not on a line, not on an intersecting line, which is perfectly fine, because this is saying it's halfway between 1 and 2, so it's 1.5. So B is at 3, 1.5, which is in quadrant 1. Now, if you look at C, C is on this line. So again, it's on this line. It's neither on this side nor this side. So it is on this thing we call the y-axis. So we call this the y-axis. That's where it's located at. And then if we had a point right here, let's see, A, B, C, let's say this is D. D would be on your x-axis. See, it's neither in quadrant 2 or quadrant 3. It's right there on the x-axis. So let's scroll down. The graph shows the location of a city. It also shows the location of Gary and Jen's house. The scale on each axis represents miles. Okay, so let's talk about scale. Okay, so a box. Do you see the little boxes, how they're broken into? A box, and it's square, I'm sorry, I drew a rectangle, are called units. And units have different values. So if I look here on the top graph, I see 0, blank, 2, blank, 3. So each one of these squares is 1 unit, is a unit of 1. So we could say 1 box is equal to 1 unit. Okay, but if we look down here, if you look, it goes 0, blank, 10, blank. Oh, okay, so my unit's there. So 1 unit is equal to 5 miles. Okay, so each grid is 5 miles. You need to make sure that you look at the scale of it, especially like if you're dealing with cities or something big, you're trying to look at a large location, but you're shrinking it down. They use different units to show the distance between the two. Okay, so Gary's house is at -25, 15. We can say that he is 25 miles to the west and 15 miles north of the city. Okay, when we're dealing with maps, we use scale like the compass rose here. North, east, southwest. Never eat soggy waffles. That's what my first grade teacher told us what the compass rose meant. North, east, southwest, never eat soggy waffles. Okay, now if we look at Jen's house from the city, Jen's house, well, she's 5, 10, 15 miles to the north and 5 miles to the east. Or you can say she's 5 miles east and 15 miles north of the city. Okay, now if I look at Gary and Jen's location, Gary is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 miles to the west of Jen. We can also say Jen is 30 miles to the east of Gary. All right, so now we have some other people coming in the city. So we have Ted. Ted lives 20 miles south and 20 miles west of the city, represented in the graph on example 3. His brother Ned lives 50 miles to the north of Ted. Give the coordinates of each brother's house. So let's look at Ted first. So he lives 20 miles south and 20 miles to the west of the city. And then we got Ned. Ned lives 50 miles north of Ted. So my first thing I need to do is probably figure out where Ted lives. So I'm going to start at the city, and I'm going to go 20 miles south. So south is down. So 5, 10, 15, 20 miles south and 20 miles to the west. And west is to the left, and I've got to go 5, 10, 15, 20. So right here is where Ted lives. Okay, so Ted is at -20, -20. Now let's see where brother Ned lives. So Ned lives 50 miles to the north of him. So I'm heading north. So I've got to go, remember, counting by tens. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Excuse me. So this is where Ned lives. So Ned, starting at the city, we went over to -20, but up to +30. So that's where Ned would live. So we can say that both brothers live 50 miles apart. We can say that looking at this, Ned lives closer to Gary than Ted. And we can say Ted lives closer to the city than he does his brother. There's lots of things you can say by just looking at this map after we plot our points. Okay? All right, so your homework for today is the Google Slides, and I'm going to show you how that is done. Close out of here. Go back to the classroom. Okay, so if you go down here, today's week 6 coordinate plane assignment. So complete the Google Slides. Go to File, make a copy of the entire presentation, rename it with your name, complete, then take the Google Form assessment. I should say complete and submit. Okay, so to make a copy, when you get it, it will say you have a view-only presentation, like you cannot edit it for some reason. So what you're going to do, just like it said, is you're going to come over here, you're going to make a copy of the entire presentation, and you're going to rename it. So I'm going to rename it Delcam's Coordinate Grid Work. Okay, I'm going to click OK. It's going to pop up with the same exact thing. It's just going to be a new one. And there we can then edit and click on and manipulate this whole Google slide once it opens. So if you go to the second slide, you'll see that we'll need to do two things. We need to drag and drop, and you need to fill in the blank. And to double click on the gray boxes to start typing is how we fill in the blank. Remember the directions, so positives, skipped it, indicates movement either up or right. Negatives indicate movement down or left. So looking here, oops, I went ahead and did this. Oh no, this is already done for us. Sorry, made a new copy. All right, so I'm looking at the green dot. I double click. Do you see how a blue box has come up? Then all I have to do is type in it. So bam, there's my parentheses. So that would be -3, comma, and then I went up to 2. I'm going to put my parentheses there. I'll show you again with this purple dot. So I'm going to double click. Double clicked. I get the blue box around it and then the blinking line. I went over to 3, then I went up to 4. So there's my coordinates for the different points, for the green, the purple, then you have this blue, and then you have this pink. You have several slides in here. Here you're going to be dragging and dropping. So my point is 4, 3, so I'm going to start at the origin. I go over 4, then up 3, and bam, there it is. You're going to try to get it as close to making that dot center on the line. So -2, 5. So again, I'm taking my my circle, making it go to the origin. I'm going to go over to -2. I'm going to go up to +5. Do you see how it kind of is outlined where the two lines intersect? And just drop it right there. Okay. Next one. Oh, this one was my favorite one. You have these little puppy dogs. All right. Drag and drop each image into the correct spot. So -3, -2. So I'm going to come and grab my little corgi. I'm going to start at 0. So I need to go over to -3 and up to +2. Do you see how it's kind of like right there in the middle? That I make sure like the dog's in the center of where it's supposed to be. Try your best to do that. Try your best to do that. So I'm going to come and grab this beagle. He's so cute. So he's at -4. So I'm going to go over to -4 and then up to +4. So there he's going to go right there where those lines intersect. All right, your next page that you have is very much similar to that, but you have different animals. So you also have this little dog. So I'm going to grab this dog. He's going to come over here with me. I'm going to start at the origin. Then I'm going to go over to -2, then up to +3, and drop him right there. Okay, I'm going to drag this little elephant right here. So he stays at 0. I don't go anywhere left to right, but I'm going to go down to -3 and drop that little elephant right down there. Okay, then slide 8. Slide 8 you're going to plot each point and then tell which quadrant it's in. So I'm going to grab the green and I'm going to go to the origin and read that went over to 5. So go over to +5. And then up to down to -4. Do you see how that little red line helps me? Kind of guides me to where I'm going to be. And there it is. So if I'm looking, okay, so this is quadrant 4. So I can go here and I can do it in Roman numerals. Quadrant 4. I can type quadrant 4. However you want to do that. Again, here I grab my little purple or lavender ball. I'm going to go over to 1 and down to -5. I plot my point. Oh, it's in quadrant 4 again. So I can do abbreviate. I can even do the Roman numeral side. And the last one that you have, which is slide 9, is one answer the riddle by finding the letter to go with each order pair. How do bees get to school in the morning? So if you can't read it, zoom it in up here. Do you see? I can zoom this in. Actually, I have to zoom out. Making these smaller makes this bigger for some reason. You think of it as the opposite, but it's not. So if I look at 8, negative 8, so I'm going to go here, start my origin. I'm going to go to 8, and then I'm going to go to negative 8. So the letter is O, so I'm going to double click and type an O. Okay, next one, I'm going to start the origin. I go over to negative 6 and then up to 5, which would be N. And then you're going to continue. When you're done with that, you're going to view the assignment. You're going to submit it. And when you submit it, you're going to add this. So you're going to go to Add Google Drive and find it. And then that's what you're going to submit as your documentation. Okay. The other part that you have is a Google form. So I'm going to come over here real quick. The plotting points quiz, and you have 8 questions, and it will pop up your email address, and then you'll answer these questions. Where's point P? Where's point M? Okay, and then you'll answer it. It's only 8 questions, just kind of quizzing you on your graphing. Okay, and that's going to be it for today. I will see you tomorrow. So have a great day. Bye.